present to you Listen Radio, amplifying the voice of God to all people hearing the cry of the lost, broken and discouraged. Listen is a roundtable discussion panel covering various topics within the body of Christ with your host, Pastor G. Manbury, co-host, Minister Tanya Henry, and Rhonda Nixon. This is Listen Radio, using the airwaves as a loudspeaker to amplify the Word of God. Word of God. God, Jesus.
All right, here we go again. Hey, all right, Miss Nora. Hey. Shout out to
Shout out to
Nora.
my mama.
Yes. Oh my God, sounding just like your mama.
I miss seeing her so much.
I know.
She be partying hard, cruising.
Yeah.
Right.
I can only wish that when I get to be her age, I'm still cruising and hanging out and having a good time. But anyway, thank you for coming back and listening to our show, Listen Radio listeners. You are tuned in to the Listen Radio podcast. And the last time that we were on the show, and the last podcast, if you didn't listen to it, hopefully you can go back and catch the archive of the show. But the title of the show was called Can the Church Say Me Too?
Yeah.
Right? So we're talking about the Me Too movement, and we're talking about sexual assault.
Yes.
So on the last show, there was a lot going on, I just have to say. And like, I don't know if y'all paid attention to it or not, but it's like my cat made an appearance in the last show. You know, and then we're all sitting here hungry. Yes, mittens.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting here hungry, and it's like, I don't know if you can hear people cooking in the background, but
We got a lot going on.
we got a lot
Yes,
going on.
that's all right.
But we're going to push on.
All right.
Because we're going on in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Yes. But we're talking about a very serious topic, and, you know, asking, can the church say me too? And so we're going to do this promise, and we're going to actually talk about the statistics or the data on sexual assault, because we want to drive the point home that this is such an unfortunately common experience.
Right.
Yes.
You know, and I don't mean common as in mundane every day, like, you know, every day we wash dishes, every day you got to drive to work. I mean, it's prevalent.
Yes.
Almost to the point, if it was a sickness or an illness, it would be a pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think what's striking me about it as I think about what you're going to be presenting is our lived experience here in the United States doesn't bring a lot of attention to the subject, which of course is probably why the movement started.
Right.
But what the news that we do get is from countries around the world where we would expect that women don't have rights, where people are not treating women the way that we have the privilege of being treated here in the United States. Yet the data helps us to see that it doesn't matter if you live in a first world or a third world country, you get assaulted.
Yes.
And that's what I think is sad about the whole thing, is that it is, I was listening to an interview where Oprah was talking to Trevor Noah about being in South Africa now in the United States, and talking about what she calls the black tax. That there is a burden that you carry as a black person where you can never forget the atrocities of the past, and whatever success you have in the present or the future, you're taxed because you're black about, you know, what that looks like. It's framed a certain way. So, you know, just thinking about what you're going to present, it's like there's a gender tax. There is a tax to being a woman. And it's just something we carry with ourselves, and we pass it from generation to generation. Because that fear that I was going to be assaulted was passed down to me in narratives.
Yes.
From the women in my family. It's
Absolutely.
Like, unfortunately, it doesn't matter if you're in the boardroom or the courtroom, you get assaulted.
And you know what? That is so funny, Latanya, that you said that, because I have a daughter who's now 13. She just turned 13.
Okay.
And I have been talking to her about um, certain things, about how she dresses, about how she carries herself, about why I won't let her spend the night at other people's houses.
Yes.
You know, why her dad and I won't allow her to go certain places by herself. And now that you say that, all of that conversation stems from the idea of somebody violating
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
and doing something to her that that's all circled around sexually assaulting her.
Yes.
And I have been talking to her about this since she was 10, 11 years old. When,
That's
you know,
right.
when I first started seeing her body changing and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And I can remember around the times
Mhm.
that she would be, when she started walking in front of me, just real nonchalantly. And I got this in my stomach
Yeah.
because I noticed her body budding. And the thought that came to me, this is something I had never
Yeah.
thought about this.
Yeah.
The first thought that came to my mind when I realized that my baby's body was changing was, she's vulnerable now.
Yes.
She can be a target now.
Yeah, because if you notice
she
her
can
body
become
changing,
a statistic now.
you know
Yeah.
that
Yes,
men
are
are
noticing
her
yes.
body changing too.
But Latanya, I had never thought about that until you said that. And bless her heart, she I might be instilling that same fear in her
Mhm.
that was instilled in you because
Mhm.
of my experiences and my fear that no, you cannot go spend the night at somebody's house. I
Yeah.
don't care if I do know the mother and the father. I don't know the big brother, the uncle, the
That's
cousin,
right.
the grandfather, or
Mhm.
whoever may visit
Yeah.
that I don't know, and they could be the one that violates you.
Yes.
I've had the conversation. I don't care who they are.
Yeah.
You better tell me because I'm going to believe you. This.
Yeah.
I've had all these conversations, and it's all off of a what if. But the reality is the what if is a norm.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
happens so often
That's
within us
yeah.
that it's been
It
a
is
top
a
thought.
reality.
It is a
It is.
reality for
Yeah,
us.
yeah, it's a reality. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate, it's a reality. And if you don't believe me, then here's some data.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's some data from the CDC.
Because people always want to hear statistics.
Yeah, because it's like it ain't real unless it's a bunch of numbers and charts and facts and figures behind it. Right,
Yeah, and it's got to be like real stuff
Yeah.
because it's not traumatizing enough for some man to make a remark about your 10-year-old daughter.
Right.
Because I remember that you used to come to church talking about.
What? Back in the
I don't even remember.
let's not do that. Let's not play that game.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah,
I don't
let's
remember.
let's not play guess the
Because
decade.
no, because unfortunately Clarence Thomas was a Republican.
Right.
My family didn't talk about no Republicans ever.
They just didn't even talk about it.
They didn't even talk about it.
That
They didn't care if he was black. They didn't talk about him.
well that's a whole nother show.
It is.
Wow. Okay. So look, man, time flies when you're having fun.
Yes.
Well, when you're talking about something important, I don't want to say that this was fun.
He was nominated in 1991.
Thank you. 'Cause
you.
I was like, I think I was graduating high school, but I
Wow.
don't remember.
So as far back as the 90s, we have Judge Clarence Thomas, and I remember people being divided and hearing that he did. Okay, he invoked, the race card to
Yeah.
talk about how he was being portrayed
Yes.
and that it was a witch hunt. But this is what he said, that it was a high-tech lynching for uppity black folks.
Mm.
That's how he characterized it. And from that point on, that shifted the momentum of the hearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still just reeling over uppity black people. Not just
Right,
any
not
black
just
people.
black people.
Yeah,
uppity.
Yeah,
black
for
people.
uppity black people who would deign to think for themselves. So he's invoking this narrative of, the turn of the century when educated African American men and women
Yeah.
were trying to uplift the race, and then the KKK was on the rise at the same time. And so when black people who were educated and who had money and who had, some measure or modicum of success
Yeah.
would deign to rise up and speak a certain way and dress a certain way and carry themselves a certain way, then white people and white terrorists and KKK would call them uppity black folks and do, commit violence against them to try to
Mhm.
put them back in their place, the place of
Wow.
a slave, the place of a person that is oppressed, to not be on the same level as them. So he's evoking this type of imagery and narrative calling from this turn of the century, post Civil War, post slavery, Reconstruction era, turn of the century idea. And with that, he was able to shift the momentum of the hearing. And of course, we all know the rest, the history. He was nominated, and he sits on the Supreme Court. So we have Judge Clarence Thomas, and we saw the division in the black community. And then we move more currently to Bill Cosby and his case. And, I was talking with a friend about this just a few days ago. And, the comment that the person made was, what they got, what he did was wrong. That was messed up. That was horrible, blah, blah, blah. But what they gonna do with that old man and put him in jail for? He's old.
Yeah.
What's that gonna do? And I
Yeah.
said, he's serving and paying for the crimes. His sins finally caught up with him.
That's what it is.
It
Well-
no matter what his age is.
But I think what was bad about that statement
Right.
is, maybe if you wanted to make that a strong argument, if he had stopped his stupid crimes.
Right. Because it was as recent as what, 2004?
Yes.
2005?
I'm like, now it's not just
It
an
was
act
more
of
recent than that.
now it's not just an act of stupidity and youth. You've been doing that as an old man.
Yes.
Right.
And it's like, and that's the part that I think is so disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's like, oh, so you don't think that he should pay for having done the crime at all?
Yeah. Well, and the excuse is now because he's old.
Yes.
But like you said, and even if he had done it one time,
Yeah.
and he did it 50 years ago,
He should still have consequences.
there should still be consequences. He should still pay.
Yes.
But the bigger conversation beyond that was that people were like, oh, they're just trying to take him down because he's a black successful man, and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. And then the conflict that people have had even recently, after the convictions, it's like, but that's Heathcliff Huxtable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, people got problems.
They could not
I don't know.
separate.
I don't know why they can't separate people from TV.
Yeah, the lady whom he was convicted for, Andrea Constant,
Mhm.
he had aggravated, it says aggravated indecent assault in 2004, which
See.
means why not serve time when you old? You were still doing it when you were old.
Yes.
Because he was old then. I mean,
Yes.
so why not serve time in your older
Let's see.
age?
So he's
You were still getting down in your older age.
okay. So he's what, 70?
He's
so
80. How old is Bill Cosby? 80?
I don't know, girl.
Eighty?
Look at you got the internet.
Yeah, the internets.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that would mean he had to have done that when he was 60 years old.
Yeah.
60.
Just she said
Yes, Bill is
6.
81.
Okay.
81.
Bill Cosby
Okay.
is
He was
81.
70.
She said 70. It don't matter. He was old.
He
I
was
mean, and so
definitely
people saying he shouldn't have to go to jail now because of his age. Let him live out his older age, peacefully, and how many years does he have to live? Well,
Yeah.
you should have thought that.
He really should have.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had managed to get away with it all these years, you would think common sense might eventually
Girl,
kick
common
in.
sense ain't common. It
Ain't
ain't got
got
nothing to do with
that.
it. Okay.
Yes.
It ain't
Yes.
got nothing to do with
Just
the price of tea in
in
China.
China.
No,
I
ma'am.
mean, to Pastor Jay's point, that is all about power and
It
prestige.
is.
Mhm.
And
And
privilege.
They're
privilege.
privileged.
Exactly.
That's exactly
And
what
that
it
is exactly why he was able to continue doing it. Because if he's gotten away with it for 20 plus,
Yep.
30 plus years, you started this when you were
This
whatever.
says 50 years ago.
50
Golly.
It would have
years
been- this would have been
ago
started
in his
over 50
20s.
years ago. In his
Yep.
20s.
So if you've done this for a half a century,
There you
And
go.
these are all, just
Yes.
Yeah.
accusations these people are saying.
yeah.
I
So if
guess.
he's done this for half a century,
Mm-hmm.
then what would possibly make him feel like that he couldn't continue to get away with it?
That's right.
And you know what else was sad?
What was sad?
The way Camille supported this man. And look, let me say this. Let me back up before some people are like, that's his wife. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Support your husband. Yes.
Yeah.
You even went on and said that y'all allowed each other room in y'all's marriage.
Mhm.
Okay.
So in other words, she knew what time it was.
Yeah,
He knew what time it was. They both knew
Yes.
what was going on.
that's what consenting adults.
Support your husband in the fact of no, you can't hold this against him now because you knew what was going on all along anyway.
Right.
Support your husband. You want to stay with your husband, so be it.
Yeah.
Do not make excuses for his behavior
Right.
and then say that all the other women, more or less, they knew what time it was. They knew what was going on when
Yeah.
they was
Did
over
she
there.
say stuff like that?
Yeah. So in other words,
I missed that one.
yeah. If I was understanding correctly, she said people knew what was going on, and these was just articles I read. I can't say, but
Yeah.
those were the kind of comments that was being said. And thank you for bringing that up because I don't know if she really said these things or not.
Right,
The only thing we do know is when she got on the news and she was saying, that he wasn't being given a fair trial and that sort of thing. But there was never any of the saying that he didn't do it.
Wow.
Wow.
And so support your husband by all means. Hey, if you want to hang
You know
around
what?
for all of that,
You know
that's
what I'm
great.
gonna say to that, and then we gotta
But-
go. We gotta finish we gotta stop for this show, and we gotta tune into the next podcast. But what I say is, when it comes to support, you support people in the right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, don't support the action.
Yeah,
is
don't-
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't support. Okay, yeah. So our director was just like, continue on. So anyway, so it's like support people, and this is such a great point. Shut up. See, it don't take much to rattle my little tiny brain. But that is part of the problem, right? Is that when we say support the perpetrator,
Okay.
support the predator.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Support
Yeah.
your husband,
Yeah.
but don't support what he's been accused
Yeah, I will
of.
support
what
you
he's
going
doing.
to jail.
Yeah.
I will
Exactly.
support
I'm gonna
you
stay
getting
married
get
to you
due
while
to
you go through what is due to you.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I can't speak on her because that's a whole different
It sure is.
issue. It's like
It
I don't
is.
even know if people have really like done a study of people who have been married to predators,
Yeah.
of different kinds, and what was it like and the decision to stay. There's got to be a narrative or the reasons why and all of that. I can't even get into that or whatever. But you brought that point up, but it still speaks to how we as a community, Black people, feel like they can't attack our leaders.
Mm.
They can't attack our prominent people.
Mm.
And you, Bill Cosby's case, you are attacking a wish. You are attacking
Yeah.
a false impression. You
Yeah.
are. People were looking at it like they were attacking Cliff Huxtable,
Right.
not like they were attacking the man that he was. And when all of this came out, it brought back to me. I remember clear as day.
As they.
I ain't got to put nothing behind this because this was me.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha.
I was watching an episode of the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby was on vacation. Cliff Huxtable was on vacation.
Okay, yeah. Heathcliff.
And
Yeah.
Claire and him were having a conversation because their TV was messing up. Something was going out in their house.
Yeah,
And they were arguing about her calling someone to come in to fix it.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
And Bill Cosby, if I remember correctly, was telling Claire,
Yeah, his Heathcliff.
you don't need, and he's sitting there eating one of them hoagie
Yeah,
sandwiches
he was
and
a
stuck
soldier.
chips
His
in it,
character like
because
to eat.
he got to do that when he was on vacation.
Gotcha.
Remember?
Oh,
So he was
yeah.
sitting there making a sandwich, and they were arguing about her calling someone in to fix whatever was broken. I think it was the TV. And Bill Cosby's arguing back, no, you don't need to call nobody in here. I can take care of this. Claire's giving her reason as to why. And she makes a comment about getting some, or he says something about, yeah, you gonna call some young man or something along these lines. And he turns around. I remember this like yesterday. I have even gone and tried to see if I could find this clip of the
Yeah.
Cosby Show, and I can't find the episodes and stuff. He went out to say, now, yeah, you sitting there saying that, but now if I come up in here with me, a 19-year-old who's all tight and right, you ain't gonna be saying that. And I remember sitting there watching this episode thinking,
Mm-hmm.
something about that doesn't sound right.
Right.
I remember sitting there thinking,
Hmm.
do you realize that you have people that are playing your daughters on the show
Okay.
that are younger than that and
Right.
that age?
Yeah.
Do you realize that you sounded real iffy because you was too happy to say that part and 19 tight and right? I remember even thinking, I wonder if that was part of the script or if he didn't add that.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah, I
sitting
was
there
like, he
thinking
had to have acted.
all of that when I watched that episode that didn't sound right. So when all this came out, I thought he said this 20 years ago. Yeah,
Right.
he told us 20 years ago on the Cosby Show. We wasn't listening.
Yeah.
I sure did. I remember that episode.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like a lot of his accusers, were not believed.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, even within the black community, and I think people have had difficulty separating the man from the character. And even as you were talking, it's like you were saying Bill Cosby, but you was talking about his character
Uh-huh.
because he was the pudding pop guy. He was
Yeah.
the Jello pudding
Fat
pop.
Albert, baby.
Yeah, he was Fat Albert.
Yes.
He was the pinnacle of black wholesomeness.
Mhm.
Yo, there you go.
Yeah.
Remember how many black kids grew up wanting to be in the Huxtable family?
Yeah.
Remember that? People came out and said that that's why it was so hard for them to accept,
Right.
that he had done that because they were like, it shattered our Bill Cosby dreams.
Yeah, it shattered our perceptions.
Same thing with what's his name?
Oh.
Football player. OJ. When everybody couldn't believe OJ Simpson had done what he had done because they were still living off of that fantasy of him being such a great football player. That ain't got nothing to do with what that man was doing behind closed doors.
Right, exactly. So we have a difficult time believing the people that are saying that they've been sexually assaulted.
Mhm.
So let's talk about R. Kelly a little bit.
Oh,
And I'm like, I don't want to talk about. I don't want.
what it said he did.
I don't even want to talk about that a lot because it took them 1 hour?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't.
Maybe it was 40 minutes. I don't know.
I tried to watch. I wasn't planning on watching it, honestly. But my husband was interested in watching it, and it's I was mesmerized by it because I didn't realize the level of allegations. Because honestly, I had tuned it out and I had stopped paying attention
Mhm.
because it had been so many years, it had been so long, and so many people. So I just really just kind of tuned it out. But when I sat there and I watched the show, I literally went someplace in my
Mhm.
spirit, and I had to come out of that place. I was angry.
Yep.
I was disgusted.
Mhm.
I was like, there was a spirit of heaviness on me that I
Yeah.
had to shake after watching that show. And I didn't get through all 6 episodes. That's the sad part. I think by the 3rd or 4th one in, I said, I can't do this anymore. I stopped watching it
Mhm.
because this man is still out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the depravity and the sickness of the allegations and the confessions of people who are living through this trauma,
Yeah.
it's disturbing. And the documentary was made because it was about the grassroots level efforts of Tarana Burke and the Me Too movement. It spoke to this idea that black women are not heard,
Yeah.
black women are not believed, and black women are not helped.
Mm.
And R. Kelly, and this is not to say that the Harvey Weinsteins of the world haven't done what they've done as long, but it's like we started trying to talk about R. Kelly many years ago,
Mhm.
and there was no movement on it. And this man has been allowed to continue on, whereas with Harvey Weinstein, it's like, the Me Too movement was able to kind of bring him down in a very, in a much more succinct way than what has happened with R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Because white women started saying, hey, look, with Harvey Weinstein, Me Too.
I wonder if part of the reason why this stuff with R. Kelly hasn't gone unspoken of for so long is because R. Kelly paid a lot of people off.
This is true.
And
Yes.
R. Kelly, another reason why I think he's been able to get away with this for so long goes right along with what you're saying.
Mhm.
R. Kelly is targeting
Black women.
black and brown women,
yes,
predominantly
yeah,
black and brown.
women,
I don't
right.
recall seeing a white woman on the thing. If it was, I didn't notice it. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I don't recall seeing one.
Right.
But while I also think that R. Kelly has been able to get away with this for so long, it hasn't affected his career. People haven't focused on it. One, and the most primary reason, because he was targeting little black girls.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as important. His career has survived because R. Kelly's fan base is black people.
And that's
Yeah.
the irony.
His fan base is African American and brown people. not very many white people follow R. Kelly.
But what
So-
does that say about
The-
our
well, we've
community?
been-
That's who he's been targeting. That's who he's been victimizing. But his fan base is still predominantly
And-
based, and they have propped him up.
and
We have
put
propped him
on a-
up over
put
the
him on a
years.
pedestal. We have been dancing to the very music that he was telling us what he was doing. I mean, and the thing that got me was saying when one of the allegations came out about the video or something,
Yeah.
he had a concert like 2 or 3 days later. He had the most number of people at his concert after the allegations came out about him in the video.
Wow.
And so, you know, I'm sitting here thinking he got away with this. And initially, I even said when I was talking to a friend of mine, I said, I still don't see this affecting his career. I said, because his fan base is black people. We don't pay attention to these kind of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is what it's been the whole time. Now, somebody somewhere, it has caught the attention of the appropriate people,
Mhm.
whomever they are. And it looks like, you know, he might
Because
go through
people
a
are
few.
putting pressure.
Pressure
Yeah.
being
They are-
applied.
They
Yes.
are rallying. They
Yes.
are going to where his concerts are going to be, and they are showing up in numbers. And they are
Yeah.
saying, "Do not support this man."
Right.
And that is what it takes. It takes
Yep.
that level of effort and
Yeah.
pressure
Mhm.
to finally. It's not so much that the executives had said, "I think this just might be a bad
Yeah.
time."
Yeah.
No,
Because
we
they
don't-
don't care about
They
that.
don't care. You know,
They
it's-
want to know how much money are you generating.
That's
they
right.
want to know, and they want to know how much money are you losing and costing me. Because
Right.
if
Right.
you are no longer the cash cow, then I'm going to get rid of you. And that money talks, and what we ain't gonna say the rest because
Yeah,
we
it
say.
walks.
But you know, bull
But-
crap walks.
Yes.
Yeah, I should say.
Yeah.
I know.
It's just like,
And I started the point and I moved on talking about another reason why I think it could possibly
Okay.
be why he got away was him paying everybody off. Well, he paid and he was able to pay so many people off because the women or the young ladies that he was victimizing, and this is my opinion,
yeah.
were
Probably
poor.
poor.
Came from,
Yes.
low income families. So you go flashing 100,000, 200,000.
Well,
you go
didn't we
flashing.
see in the documentary that they tried to say in the video of him urinating on this
Yeah.
young girl?
Yes.
Yeah.
That
The
they,
family-
the attorneys tried to say it was his brother.
Right.
And they were gonna pay him off to just say that, yeah, it was me. And then his brother that's in jail said, "Man, you could have been rich."
Did
Yeah.
y'all see that
I, girl,
foolishness?
I was
Yes.
like, you,
And we said in unison, that's why you in jail.
that's why you
That's where you need to be
and that's
anyway.
where you need to stay. Exactly. You
I was
talking
like,
about
this
some grade A
foolishness
level
up here.
foolishness.
And I
Yes.
have to say, even though there was a video of R. Kelly doing that, and I heard about it in the news when it happened, I was like, oh, he's in trouble. And when nothing happened,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Oh my gosh.
You know, and I have not been one of his fans. I had to like actually go on YouTube. It was like, what R. Kelly songs y'all talking about? I only know about Bump and Grind.
Right.
You know, so I just started,
12 play.
you know, I was
Age ain't
like,
nothing but a number.
those are just songs.
Ignition.
Those songs were just not in my head.
None of your mental Rolodex.
No. But
Girl, I'm gonna tell the truth. I used
When-
to get down to some more Kelly. I can't. R.
when he
Kelly.
didn't get in trouble, I was like, how was it that this girl made up these allegations? If that's the case,
And
why?
there's a video, girl, of all things.
They said it was being sold in the record stores and in flea markets and stuff. They said you could go into a little like flea markets or something. They said, little stores and stuff, and they had bootleg copies of the tapes being sold.
See,
That was one of the things too that just blew my mind. I
It
was
was
like,
ridiculous.
wow.
Well, see, that's kind of like the stupid Hugh Hefner phenomenon. People just like that whole Playboy image.
Mm,
Mhm.
I don't know why they want to support that, but they do.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I did hear, I didn't hear it. I read the story because it came up on my news feed on my phone.
Mhm.
That Sony has now dropped him.
Okay.
He has lost his
R. Kelly?
contract.
They actually dropped him because we read a story. Alex was reading a story to me saying, I can't remember the wording of it, but it made me feel like it was a little ambiguous, like they hadn't actually dropped him, but they had put out language that made them look as if they were parting ways, but they didn't. explicitly say they dropped him.
Yeah.
So, but you're saying you read that they did drop him.
Yes.
Okay, well, all right.
Wow, I
That's
haven't heard
interesting.
that.
But look, going back to talking about why don't we believe the victims
Oh, okay.
of these people, who have said that they've been victimized by people like R. Kelly and Clarence Thomas, and Bill Cosby, so on and so forth. I had a conversation. Well, I was privy to a conversation. I was I was getting my hair done, and the conversation, of course, came up about R. Kelly.
Wow.
And this brother, God bless him, I don't know if he'll ever listen to the show, but I ain't gonna say his name.
Okay, good.
But he was bringing up the point that it's like R. Kelly is talking about suing. He should be able to sue because he wasn't convicted of sexual assault. But it's like they got this documentary and it's like they're suing him and all of this kind of stuff like that. And I'm like, we can sue him for libel or slander. I'm like, but if it was true,
Right.
It's not slander.
no, if it was true. And then I was like, I don't know if I said this. I don't think I said this in the moment. But I went home and I thought about this. And I'm like, your sins, like I keep saying, your sins will find you out.
Yep.
Mhm.
If you did not, get, charged and convicted and experience the consequences of your actions in that way, then you're going to reap what you sow in some other way.
Mm-hmm.
You will reap what you sow.
Mhm.
You will experience the consequences of your actions, whether it happens in the court of law or in the court of life, God's court, His
Right,
judgment,
quarter life.
the court of life. The court of life. That's one word. It's you will experience those consequences in some way. But I just thought that here we go again. It's like we're talking about whether or not this man has a right to sue, but he is literally holding women hostage in rooms with no access
And
to
still
food or
doing
water,
it now.
and excuse the expression,
Yes.
pissing in a bucket
Yeah.
and defecating in a bucket, and you worried about his legal rights.
Right.
This is the kind of stuff that we need to stop.
Yes.
We need to stop as a community, as a people. We need to stop, and we need to be more concerned about the rights of the victim
Mhm.
and their well-being
Mm-hmm.
and hearing their stories
Yeah.
instead of dividing ourselves.
Yeah.
But this is the reason why we don't listen, because we side more with the perpetrator.
Yes. And what's troubling about their stories is that R. Kelly will be able to say these women stayed.
On their own. He sure will.
And I think that was what was most impactful to me is the description of the language and the stuff that he would say and how he would do it, because it's so familiar to me. I honestly cannot tell you ladies in truth that I haven't heard some of the same crap from a man that I was married to. And I looked at him like, you got the wrong one, buddy. Here, come, let me introduce you to Latanya.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do that.
Well,
It's just,
yeah.
maybe you did that with some other women.
But I am not doing it.
No,
Mm.
but that was so familiar to me, and then I could recognize
Wow.
what these women were a part of, because some of the same language was like, but Latanya, you gave me permission to do this. Latanya, you said I could do this, and I was like, but that is not what I meant.
Right. And it's
Wow.
like the manipulation.
Yes.
The level of manipulation.
Yes.
And then what he does is that after he has realized that he has completely manipulated this person into submission,
Mhm.
that he is in their head and he can twist them however he chooses to, then
Yes.
he gets them to recruit new people,
Yes.
and then they become the ones that watch
Right.
and tell and help to keep the cycle going. It's like, I'm watching you, and if you don't do what we know R.
Yeah.
Kelly wants us to do, then I'm going to tell, so that you can't even escape, because he's broken the camaraderie between the victims.
Yes. Wasn't that amazing?
Wasn't that amazing? You talking about sociopath level manipulation,
Yeah.
and there was even a Boondocks episode. I don't know if y'all remember that old cartoon Boondocks episode that talked about, what it was like when he went to court, and how the black community just continued to prop him up,
Yep.
and keep it going. Were you gonna say something?
I was.
You sound almost disappointed.
Well, back in the 90s, I was going to school at a career center in Austin.
Okay.
And one of the ladies that was going to school with us, she was older than we were, but she and I became really good friends. She came to class one day and she was I could tell she was really, something was weighing heavy on her mind. And so I asked her if she wanted to have lunch. She and I ended up going to lunch. And so she started talking with me and she shared with me that her daughter at the time was 16 years old, 17. She was 17 years old, and that she had come home and she had just gotten home about 5 o'clock that morning. And her teenage daughter went on to tell her that she had been at R. Kelly's concert. He was in Austin, and that she had slept with him.
What the hey?
Wait, and she said that she immediately told her daughter, I am fixing to call the police because you are underage. And her daughter looked her straight in the face and told her, I will tell them that I was the one who initiated it. That he asked me and I gave him permission for us to have sex. And she was either 17 or 18. And so the lady that I was talking to, I looked at her and you could see that she was like, Rhonda, I don't know what to do.
Wow.
She's like, because I know my daughter, and her daughter had already started going down the wrong path.
Right.
Her daughter was already causing her problems in other ways and that sort of thing. And so because I said, do you really think she will say that? And she said, oh, I know my daughter.
That
she
came
will say
out
that.
in the documentary.
And that was here in Austin.
And that was
he took,
wow.
and I don't remember if he took her back to a hotel room or if the encounter happened on a bus or if it was there at where they were, or I don't remember. But she told me that. And I remember thinking when we were talking about it, y'all, I remember thinking later on after I thought about it, I would think about it, but I didn't put no heavy depth into that thought.
Yeah.
You know, that her because she had also shared other things with me about how her daughter behaved.
Yeah.
And
So
see,
I
okay,
think
so
it's
I'm
a weird,
gonna stop you
That's
right
and
there.
I think in my
Right there.
mind,
Yes.
in a weird way, I'm sitting thinking, oh, well, that's not surprising then because you know look at all that other stuff,
And
and
see,
that's what we
And
all.
that's what we all do. We blame the victim.
Yes,
We characterize the victim.
she's a
just
loose,
like
she
all
was
of
loose
the
anyway.
yeah, she was a
Yeah.
fast tail girl.
yes.
She was troubled.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, that's how they characterize victims of sexual assault, as it is their fault. They're the perpetrators. They're the ones who advanced. They wanted it.
Yeah.
You know, so on and so forth. And it's like it's really a lot to flesh out that we don't even really have time to try to flesh this out in the show. But we're talking about actual chronic perpetual behavior as a predator,
Yes.
that it is his preference to have sex with underage women.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm still reeling from her words. Like, I will tell them that I initiated.
Oh,
it.
and she's.
I'm like, that makes me feel like you did.
You did, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I don't. I hadn't even thought about it like that, but I don't think she. Well, she couldn't have. He had to invite her over. He had to, take
that's
her
true.
wherever they went. He had to be the one to initiate all of it.
Yeah. Because ultimately, he would have had to be the one to stop it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
has the power as an adult man in his 40s, right?
Yeah.
To stop it.
Probably 50 now.
You know, probably 50, girl, whatever. So look, I said we weren't going to spend a lot of time talking about this man, and unfortunately we did because there's so much to talk about. But we're going to have to continue talking about this in the next show, right?
Mm.
Talking about who do we believe, but then when we come to the next show, we're going to talk about why don't we listen to women, right? So, this is a really heavy show, but it's a very important discussion that we need to have in the body of Christ. And it's a conversation that we're not having in church, that we should be having. Prime time, Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Wednesday night Bible study, 7 p.m. Not in a conference that everybody ain't going to show up to.
Yeah.
Or got to pay money to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or or whatever, or in a side women's Bible study. We're gonna get the women together and we're gonna let them cry about their experiences, because the only way we can stop this behavior and make the fact that women come out and say that they've been victimized is by addressing the men who are doing the victimizing. Because if 1 in 3 women have experienced forced sexual contact, then who will be getting assaulted by? It's probably 1 in 3 men that are doing the assaulting. I don't know the data, but I'm just making an example of how, if 1 in 3 women are experiencing that, and women, have experienced rape before the age of 10, or a certain percentage of women have experienced rape before the age of 10, then who is doing the victimizing? So we need to have this conversation in church on the day that we have our assemblies together and the major congregation is together, not in some side room, because that's what we do. We sweep it under the rug, or we do it outside the church where it's not as effective, and we can sit and argue with each other and debate about the legality and the character of the victim and all that kind of stuff like that. But we will talk about this, and we will wrap this up on the next show. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, hit us up on our website, commissionministries.com, or email us at cmchurchtx@gmail.com. We love you. God bless you. We're out.